Hello there, good day, and welcome to this special discussion. As you're aware, the People's Progressive Party will kick off its campaign tomorrow, Sunday, the 5th of January, and I have with me in studio here to have some discussions with you, to give you a little bit of a preview or to whet your appetite as to what to expect when you turn out in your numbers tomorrow, Sunday, for the first rally at Kitty, which essentially is the launch of the People's Progressive Party Civics campaign. I have two former MPs, Madam Gail Teixeira and Mr. Joe Hamilton, as I refer to him, my permanent guest on these programs. Ms. Gail Teixeira, Mr. Hamilton, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having us here, Eddie, to discuss our campaign launch tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much, too, to have us, and good day to all your viewers.
Yeah, I want to say good day as well to the folks who are joining us online. We're going live on Facebook at the moment. Tomorrow is the big day. It starts a period of, or it officially starts the period of campaigning. I want to give you the first go, Mr. Shearer, to tell us, just give us an idea as to what to expect tomorrow.
Well, I think that as our rally, we will be launching our campaign, and that means from January 5th to March the 1st, it's no stopping. We will be working 24/7, and our supporters and friends and will be full speed ahead, so that it really kicks off the final lap, basically, because in fact, you know, Joe and I know, and you know, that we've been on a campaign on different levels in the last year. And so expecting elections to be held in accordance with the Constitution. But tomorrow is going to be, I think, a really wonderful rally in terms of our speakers. We will be able to listen to our Prime Ministerial candidate, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, our presidential candidate, Irfan Ali, and so on. But I think our rally is going to be very different from the PNC or APNU AFC rally, in that we don't bust people in using state resources as one, but also that we're going to talk about policies and programs, and so people have a lot to hear, and hopefully it will enlighten them. It will let them know that we're serious about being able to rescue our country.
Joe, bringing you in here, and before you go, Mr. Shearer touched on an important point, but I know you're going to pick up on it, where she mentioned the fact that the rally is designed in such a way to actually let the people know exactly what are the programs and policies the next PPPC government intends to implement after the elections. That gave me the impression, Mr. Shearer, that that's not necessarily happening on the other side.
It certainly didn't happen yesterday.
What we can say to our friends and who are listening to us, and our supporters and our comrades and all Guyana and the Guyanese diaspora, is that we will be having a political rally and not a concert.
Yeah.
You see, yesterday what you had is a concert. We will have entertainment, of course, but not a concert. We will be having a political rally that is serious in its outlook, recognizing the juncture we are at in this at the moment in this country, whereby we can outline our programs and our policies to the people of Guyana, the elderly people of Guyana who have served this country, the young people of Guyana who this country will belong to when people like me and Gail, we have moved on. You know, the women of this country, who thousands of them are single parent, who have to wrestle with children to bring them up in the environment. The business people, whether they be miners, foresters, in the business, new technology, new industries, those plans and programs we will put to the people. Comparing that, and we cannot do this program, presenting our rally, without doing a comparison. Importantly, Gail mentioned tomorrow we will present to Guyana our presidential candidate, who I may say is a real brigadier.
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Ministerial candidate, Brigadier Mark Phillips, former Chief of Staff. You know, the people on the other side, they always like to talk about the retired brigadier, who has never been a Chief of Staff. So we will
Granger, yeah.
Granger. We will present a Chief of Staff
The real
tomorrow,
Chief of Staff.
real Chief of Staff, and not you know. So of course, also we will present many people who are new to politics, who have embraced the People's Progressive Party civic over time. We will present people who once, like I was, a supporter and member of the People's National Congress. We will present them there. We will present our candidates, young ones, of all ethnic strands and origin and religion. And so it is a total different activity. Whilst it would be entertaining and joyous, it would not be the type of entertainment that took priority yesterday, to cloud no program and plan. So our priority is program and plan. Our priority is not entertainment, even though we will have. So it will be a different, and we urge all Guyana to come out and support the rally tomorrow, commencing at 3 o'clock at the Kitty Market Square. So that is what I would want to say in the opening of the program as we discuss our rally launching tomorrow.
You know, just to add to something that Joe said about a lot of people, there are quite a number of people who are undecided. They voted for the Apnu AFC. They have been betrayed. They were promised things that never took place, and they want to hear us. And so those persons who are there, who want to hear what we stand for, and to have a kind of impression of the PPP in its strength, they should come tomorrow. We welcome persons on board to come and listen to us. We believe that people are rational and thinking persons. They don't have to take orders, and you know, this is not a militaristic operation. That they come out, listen to us, listen to our programs, listen to our speakers. As Joe said, it's a serious political rally. It is indicating we're ready, and we're ready to start the campaign, and we're ready for government, and that we are ready to take government on March the 3rd. And with the people's participation on March the 2nd, if we get maximum, people have to come out and vote in order to be able to turn this country around. If we don't, we will suffer under Granger, and that is unthinkable.
But we need to also examine. I would want you to examine the whole issue, because I think it's always important that we remind people as to how we arrive at this juncture we are at this point in time. So probably Joe will go first, and then.
No. The thing is, Eddie, the fact that we are having elections the 2nd of March 2020 is a relief for the Guyanese people, who have been burdened. I'm telling you, all and sundry, regardless of who they might be supporting. We had this burden as a nation we have been fetching since the December 21st, 2018. And so we have lived with it for a year. There were times when we don't even know if we would have had any elections. There were times we don't even know if, again, we would have to go out there and struggle for democracy and democratic governance in this country. Because there was a period when Mr. Granger was taking this country in a course and in a place where dictatorship apparently was arising. And presently, I'm told Mr. Granger got great difficulty people calling him a dictator. The fact is, when you govern a state without a mandate, that is what you are.
Yeah.
Because if you're in government illegally, it is only dictators that do that to societies. Democratic leaders, they seek the earliest mandate from their citizens. because they want no cloud hanging over them. And so, Eddie, the burden, people were able, in large measure, with all the stress and strain, to celebrate Christmas somewhat free, without this burden on them, because they know that a day arrives. And even, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, people were concerned when Granger called a meeting with GCOM as to whether he was attempting to set the stage to move the goalpost from March 2nd. Apparently GCOM did not give him that latitude, but if GCOM indicated to you that we're going to be ready in February, I don't know why you need another meeting to see if they are really ready. They have said a long time ago they're ready. So people were starting to say, wait, like we're going back into this mode beginning of December 2018, 24th, 2018. And so, Eddie, importantly, as Gail said, we have been campaigning for the last year. We have been through the length and breadth of this country. You know, sometimes you talk to people and they say they're not seeing the presidential candidate. The presidential candidate that was elected by the People's Progressive Parties, his role and job was, you can't win votes sitting down behind a computer, a TV screen. It is going out there and touching bases with people, shaking their hand, listening to their problems, holding their babies. And that is what he was doing for the last year, through the length and breadth of this country, getting himself acquainted with the issues of the Guyanese people. And now he's in a better place. Now when he speaks, he can speak in a framework of policies and programs based on what was said to him when he went out there. And therefore, he will be driving the campaign as the presidential candidate. But when he was elected, I mean, he might have had in his head some thoughts. And for us who live in Georgetown, we know that sometimes, and Gail will tell you, sometimes the thoughts we have on the coastline is nowhere close to the thoughts that people got on any issue in the hinterland. And therefore, that had to happen. And now the presidential candidate is in a better place. We have moved forward yesterday, naming our prime ministerial candidate, a man of impeccable character. Everybody that has spoken about him, while some of them might have their disagreement that he joined up with the PPP and not the PNC, they have no ill word about him and his character. And that is useful and that is good for us. And it speaks volume. When we put people out there tomorrow and going forward, because people are still, as you would know and Gail know, people are still joining the campaign. People are, every day we are here, we know people come here by the dozens, carloads, 2 carloads. People from overseas, they come, they want to have a conversation with the presidential candidate and to say, listen, we are supporting your campaign. And some of them, they started the conversation by saying, you know, the last time I supported Granger and Apner, but they have failed us, they have failed me, and therefore now we are supporting you. And we welcome all and sundry. It is not too late to join the People's Progressive Party civic campaign. We look for your support, and we know that some people, because of their job situation and all that kind of thing, and quietly they say to you, you know, I'm in a position here regarding my job, but my heart is with you, my support is with you. And we hear that every day as we go around the country.
You know, Eddie, been around for a while, so I've been part of 1978 referendum, 1980, 85, 92, all the way through elections. These elections, which have had a long gestation period, 14 months, we're a year already, that I've never felt this way in that wherever you go, the market, you walk around the streets, you meet someone in the mall, that the number of people who come forward to me and say, first was in the beginning, when elections going to be held. Now we know the elections going to be held on March the 2nd, but also we're backing you. We want you guys back in government. People of all different colors and ages and the goodwill. It's reminiscent of 92, but it's even more than that from 92. And obviously we mustn't be complacent, but at the same time it is really lifts the morale of all of us who are involved. There is no place you can go to. You go to buy a cup of coffee, go buy Chinese food, whatever it is. You walk into a shop or to pay your bills. And the way in which people are approaching you and saying, we want you to win, get back in. Y'all get back in government, please. We can't take it no more. You know, things are hard. I mean, people come begging at your house for money. And this is we haven't seen these things for a long time. So I want to say, first of all, that from my experience, that these elections are being, what do you call, there's a wave of goodwill that I feel, and I believe the party feels, and the General Secretary feels, and Irfan, and now Mark Phillips will feel it. This wave of goodwill that is arising in the country, and I haven't had. I mean, I get one or two people who give you a dirty look because they know your PPP, but I haven't had in recent months that experience. It's more about people. Some people are tentative, other people are just gushing. They come and shake your hand in front of, they don't care who's there. So I wanted to record that. The second issue is that the way the PPP operates, we're different than the PNC, very different parties. Our rallies are, they have they raise people morale, there's joy, there's strength in the camaraderie that's there, but it's also about what we stand for, what we're going to do, in contrast to yesterday, which was engineered. Busloads bringing people with taxpayers' money, government employees being made to go on those buses and to travel. I mean, I got word from different parts of the country that local government employees and in the town councils and the RDCs were instructed to go, government ministries. Now, this is election campaign. If you have to force people to get on buses, it reminds me, you see, Joe and I come from an old era of when Burnham used to send people to go and cut cane and cut things, and they'd get a margarine.
And you had to go Ope Estate.
You know, so I mean, these days are over, and Mr. Granger obviously is still living in that time-warped Burnham era mentality. When a party doesn't have the confidence that their own supporters will come out, and you have to make sure 287 buses. I didn't say that. The man who was the MC said that. Mm-hmm. Well, 287 buses, who paid for that? That's coming from our coffers, the taxpayers. So that's one thing, that they are, as always, have to use government money, taxpayers' money. The second issue, of course, they have their entertainment. And then we look at the speeches. You are having this big launching of your campaign. Granger's still tentative. The MCs are tentative. Who's the Prime Ministerial candidate? I mean, they were tiptoeing around the issue. No one had the confidence or the permission, I guess, that's more probably the correct word, to go and say, here's the Prime Ministerial candidate. And the Prime Minister, so-called Prime Minister candidate, who thinks he's the Prime Minister candidate, but he's not named as the Prime Minister candidate, is there also playing the game of not sure where his foot going. And then you have Granger, who, talk about fluff. He went to the polls in 2015 making promises. In the first 100 days, this would happen. This is what we stood for. He's now going to ask people for a second term. And what he's not saying, well, we did this, we weren't able to do this. What does he spend his time on? Attacking the PPP, attacking Jagdeo, attacking Irfan Ali about nonsense? What is it? Why couldn't he say, in my period, we built X number of houses, we built X number of roads, we did this and that. They spent over $1 trillion, 1.2 trillion, I think, so far, of taxpayers' money between 2015 May and now. It's going on. We don't know what the count is because we don't have an assessment in Parliament. What have they got to show for this $1 trillion in 4.5 years? What do they have to show? Nothing. No transformative project. many times using the money we had lobbied for in loans and so on to bring to the country. That's what they've used. And then I hear too that they've raided the Lotto fund, which was always, this was the money that came in from the lotteries and kept in a special fund and used for particular purposes. They, when they were in opposition, attacked us on the Lotto fund. Well, right now the Lotto fund has been raided. And the asphalt plan, the issue I wrote the procurement commission on, to do with the first time when the procurement commission said that the Demerara Harbour Bridge, that the cabinet and the minister had erred in approving a contract. I went to SOCO on that. Of course, nothing happened. I went back to procurement commission on the 300 odd million. Most of it came from the asphalt plant, which they raided the revenues of that. And of course, procurement commission said that that has now to go to the Auditor General, which I suppose it has. But they've raided that. They've raided all these places. And so what are they going to the people to say? Mr. Granger can talk about decade of development. Lord God, what decade of development? In the last 4.5 years, we've had 5 years of undevelopment. We've reversed as a country debt levels, poverty levels, programs being stymied, corporate state companies, most of them are going down in terms of their revenue and so on. And so his reportage, what is he talking about? He talked about constitutional reform. And what did he pick in constitutional reform? One of the most delicate issues that you could ever, as a so-called parliamentary democracy, touch. He said that they were going to deal with the issue of no confidence motion. Now, no confidence motions are a fundamental principle of parliamentary democracy. And I want the viewers to remember, Burnham, it was there in the 1966 Constitution when we became independent. And when Burnham came in, he reversed it. He took it out of the Constitution. 1980 Constitution was taken out. We put it back in 2001. And now he's talking about taking it back out or changing it in some way. This is a fundamental principle. He chooses that in his speech to refer to. So why they have not said, other than a lot of generalities, every child going to school, every person getting a job, but he had promised in 2050 that every young graduate of university after a year would get a job. What has happened to that? So I mean, the contrast is that the PNC can't get away from who they are as a party. Whether they put on the cloak of APNU and they add on a sidekick of AFC, or they have these so-called parties in the big tent, which none of them exist. WPA, got 3 people? What's the name of that Scots
AFC,
party?
one person.
AFC is dying. You got Scots party, which
NFA,
is...
Keith Scott.
Yeah, I always forget the name of that party. You got a GAP, which doesn't exist, the party that Sidney Allicock comes from. So what's this big tent he's talking about? The big tent is it's a hoax. It doesn't exist. Fundamentally, you're dealing with the PNC plus AFC. And any party that attaches them is in the same camp. So the PNC hasn't changed what they were in the 70s and 80s. They've just tried to make it look a little better by talking these things. Big Tent is a farce. It doesn't exist. And the PNC, APNU, AFC in the 4.5 years have discriminated, have marginalized people, have created a situation where Guyanese of different ethnicities don't feel they belong in this country, that they're not part of the nation. And they had the gall to talk about inclusivity and Big Tent. It's all a farce. It's a farce. And so when they come to our rally, come and see our rally. Come and listen to our speakers. Come and feel the mood of the people. We are not busing people in with taxpayers' money. We will have some entertainment, but you're going to hear different speakers say different things and serious things. And think about it for those of you who are undecided and those of you who support us. Come out and show our strength, because in politics it's about also showing our strength, and we know that we're strong. And of course, in a few days' time is nomination day, and we'll be showing our strength once again on nomination day.
But you mentioned the generalities in terms of the issues, not very much on their achievements, and not very much on what, if re-elected, what they will do. But we've seen time and again the AP and UFC keep talking about a number of major projects, including the airport, highway, and to talk about those as their achievements, including the work that is being done in places like Sophia, the Sheriff Street Road project, which is in a lot of trouble, I understand now. If you could probably speak to that, because I think a lot of people might get confused with
The thing is, Eddie, is that I'm reading the online, I think the MRI reviews this morning, and I'm reading the biggest faker in the land, the chief charlatan of all, David Granger, talking about people fakers. He's talking about people should not vote for the fakers in the PPP. I mean, this is the faker extraordinaire, David Granger. A lot of fluff, a lot of bluff, and unable to deliver anything he promised. You mentioned the programs. They cannot speak to no achievement because they have not executed any program that they have developed. And even the ones that
they originated any.
Yeah, and even the ones that we left, they have done badly with it. And I mean, the airport, the Sheriff Street, we could go on and on. Yeah. So, in reality, Eddie, we're asking him, Granger, to say about his achievement. There is none. So you really can't see it. This government in 4 years can't say that we have done this major project. We have conceptualized this major project and we have executed it successfully, and this is what it is. I will be delighted to see the AFC manifesto, the APNU AFC manifesto.
They didn't even refer to that.
About, the pictorial edition of it. Normally.
Is there one though?
No, that's the point I'm making. That's the point because if you have nothing pictorially to put in the manifesto, it's a difficulty
to do one.
For you to do a manifesto. and that is their dilemma. If you have no achievement to boast about, you understand? And then that's why you would note, when they put these postings on Facebook and social media and so, what do they show? Mr. Granger at church, kneeling down praying, Mr. Granger sitting with Mistress Granger, Mr. Granger sitting with his two children, Mr. Granger and his grandchild. You get the point I'm making? It is not Mr. Granger opening a major facility, an industrial facility that is going to employ 200 young people. It is not Mr. Granger opening so many kilometers of paved highway that they conceptualize and have executed successfully. And so he talked, imagine he has the gall, I think the Jewish people use the word chutzpah, to talk about fakers, this chief faker, the charlatan extraordinaire, as I said. The important thing is, Eddie, though, and Gail was talking about the energy and the goodwill and so. These elections we are called the pocketbook elections. People will vote for their pocket. Because, 2011, 2015, we had a difficulty saying to people they would make a wrong decision if they vote for the PNC in its new incarnation. And as painful as it is, I think it was a useful thing that the PPP lost power, so that the under 35, 40 and so, they can have their own experience. They can make their own, their own compound. They don't have to depend on Gail and me to speak to them like we were attempting to do in 2011, 2015. They have their own experience. Young man said to me the other day, Mr. Hamilton, at the age of 25, 30, I was able to own 2 cars. Under the PPP. Today, I have already lost one. The bank has already taken one, and I have to struggle to try to keep the other. And you can go as a man, I met a miner the other day who said, Mr. Hamilton, I have an excavator and a bulldozer in the background. And it is more expensive. It is cheaper, he said, for me to leave it there than to try to bring it out there. And you go around this country, you'll hear those stories. So achievements, they cannot. There is no achievement, Eddie. I mean, stretch your mind as far as you. Education. Is there a major school complex that was built? In any region, there's any?
No.
Healthcare. They had all the big conversation when they voted against the specialty hospital. Remember they said they would have asked the Indian government to redirect the loan to upgrade primary health care to a level. Could they speak to that? The West Coast Demerara Hospital, one of them, the Bartik Hospital, all of the hospitals, they're the same place and worse.
Yeah.
They're worse than they were as regards staffing. I could tell you healthcare, the 1,200 doctors we train, 250 are already out of the system. And most of them, they're waiting for the 5 years to finish, to leave and go in the private sector and to go overseas. So healthcare, they can't speak. Infrastructure, Patterson now talking about he's going to build a bridge, and he even couldn't complete his feasibility of the bridge. And that was marred in all kind of corruption. We left the project, the Quarantine Bridge, in conjunction with the Suriname. So the point that there is nothing. The airport is our project, and it has been done up to now. The government is not, the airport is not handed over to the government of Guyana as we speak.
But also by the amendments, they really messed
Right.
it up.
So the point is, Eddie, is that is the reason why the speeches yesterday was a set of baloney, as they say, because there is nothing to present, you know.
Well, I think you're being fair to them. You have to give them credit for the venue that they used yesterday. That they were here. You know,
But it did cost over $1 billion, 1.5 billion, and it's still counting. Whereas it's the national stadium, we took a loan with the Indians for $16 million US. How much billion is that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's not look at the difference in the two. One
well, I mean,
wooden
that's one of
stalls
the
that
things
are
that they're
falling
promoting
apart.
as one of their achievements.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Eddie.
But people don't eat it, they don't sleep it, they
Eddie,
can't get a job with it.
That they promote for achievement is a hive for vagrants. I'm told by the Spit Press it's a short-time hotel place. I'm told it's a drive-in movie cinema, even though they don't have a cinema. So you understand me? what I'm told the persons who are drug abusers, and so that is where they congregate. So no productive use. You follow the point I'm making? So secondly, it was marred from beginning to end in corruption. As we speak, $500 million are still owed to contractors.
Yeah.
Because remember, Gail Jordan said he will only pay them half of whatever the bill was. I see somebody on his Facebook put up the list of the contractors who are still owed $500 and something million. So this is a project, and you know, this faker has no shame that you will go to that place. The way I was talking about the mindset of these people.
Well, that's the only legacy. So.
And they have much choice.
That's
they
the
really
only
have much
legacy.
choice.
And of
They
course,
really don't have
the
choice.
whole talk about tongues, about a few tongues with not, and they haven't done, I think, really anything in terms of
No,
infrastructure.
the point is, remember, Bartika by now was to be a green town, the first experiment of a green town that belongs to the green state economy. What is it now? Other than build some things, Gail would know more than I do, she go there regularly. They build something on the boardwalk, there's some, not boardwalk, they build some tents, some huts at the seaside, at the riverside or there.
Some stalls.
Some stalls, right, the right thing.
It all cost $40 million.
Yeah, there is no green nothing there. So, and that was, the commitment was to the Barticians. And the people of Region 7, if you recall, when that place was made a town, is that by the next 2 years, this place will be a town that will come upright. It will be a green town.
But I mean, when you look at what is being promoted, like I mentioned, the new towns, how much 4 overpass on the East Bank. Don't you see this as the kind of small thinking? And I think you made the point that there's nothing transformational.
No, but that is the problem with the APNU AFC PNC was the issue of the god of small things, in that they focus on the small issues. That is not that some may not be necessary, but the country transformation, providing more jobs, more skills, more diversification of the economy. What they did was take a relatively diverse economy, particularly vis-a-vis the Caribbean countries, and made it into a monoculture. Undermine sugar, undermine rice, bauxite's in trouble, gold, they put it forestry. And so you're now left with what? This panacea that they keep talking about, oil. And that he's talked yesterday about the decade of development, that oil, over the next 10 years we'll be rich, etc. The PNC ideologically has a problem with dealing with those kind of issues. And particularly someone from the ilk of Mr. Granger, who comes out of that, a certain mindset. A lot of things he talks about are classist. This education and certification, it's an elite. The issue of how they use religion, particularly Christianity. These are divisive tools. When you're president for all the people, and you have to embrace them and bring them into your embrace to move the country forward. No matter what he speaks, he's not believable. He's not believable because people need to have deeds or actions and your words. And so, as you said, what has he got to show? Durban Park, naming 10 places, towns, but they don't have the money and the resources. They're told to raise the taxes, which of course, who wants more taxes? And so everywhere you go, people are finding it harder and harder to live. And I think Joe is right. These are the elections of the pocketbook. But it must also be seen as elections to protect and guard our democracy, which is only, less than 30 years old. And that another term of Granger will reverse us into Burnham days. Granger has the capacity and the propensity to take us down a dictatorial path, because for him it is power. No matter all this thing about nice guy and so on. It is about APNU stroke PNC and PNC that wants power and control of Guyana. Walter Rodney used to make his statement when he was alive that the PNC had the Midas touch. Midas is the one who everything touched gold. But he said the PNC Midas touch, whatever they touched,
It's in the reverse.
It went a different direction. It was not good. I won't say it on TV. And I've had to wonder more recently, long years later, because we saw that in those days, and we all enjoyed that comment by Rodney, and some people were shocked that he used a 4-letter word, etc., etc. But I've had to think more recently that this is the PNC. The PNC has had trouble transforming itself. So how do you transform a government? If
Or
you
a
can't,
country.
and a country, if you can't transform your party, the PPP is going to, it's our 70th anniversary. We're 70 years old as of January 1st. The PPP has gone through major transformations and changes over that 70 years. We've adapted to different situations and environments. We have embraced and brought in more people and been able to deal with the diversity of the party. And we're the only party that's truly a national party representing all the ethnic groups again, all the religions, all the classes, and all the geographic areas of our country. And so the PNC has never been able to make that transformation. Because for those of you who've seen how we came under attack in the 60s, and then later on, the PPP made major, difficult decisions as a party, especially in 92 and after 92, to be able to move our country forward.
So I think we have just about 3 minutes or so
Yes.
before we wrap this up. And I want to bring you back. I know we can spend probably the next couple of hours talking about, how the APNU, AFC, PNC, whatever name you want to call them, would have destroyed our country, including a lot of corrupt contracts, draining the resources. And I understand that we probably the next government, the PPP government, will be saddled with a bill of over $6 billion as a result of
I think
their
that's an
actions.
estimate, but I think that definitely is true.
But
thing
what
is-
I want us to do, Joe, I know you're going to go again. I said we can
No,
go hours.
we're ending, Eddie. I know we're ending on calling people to come out and support our rally. And to say to people, our rally will be nowhere like what you saw yesterday.
The concert.
It will not be a concert. It will be a rally first, and it will have entertainment. And therefore, you come out, bring your family, come to listen to our speaker, come that we can introduce our presidential candidate, our prime ministerial candidate to you. Of course, many people know the presidential candidate. The prime ministerial candidate is new to this, and so many people would want him to be introduced to them. Our candidates, many of them who are new, who they first sojourn into politics, is with the PPPC. And so we will have a good time, a lot of camaraderie. We will have a sharing of ideas and putting out the programs and plans
Most importantly, the
that we
programs and-
how we plan to take this country forward when we get into government.
So I want to thank you very much. I don't know if you want to slip something in. How much time you have remaining? We have 1 minute. I know Joe was about to go down again because
No,
he's
I just
very
want to say
passionate about.
I want to say to all our viewers, both internet and those who are here listening to us, that the People's Progressive Party Civic is the only party that can rescue this nation, and that the choice on March the 2nd is one of progress and transformation as a country united, or one in which we're going to be sliding back under the Granger administration. It's a simple choice, it's not a difficult one. And our track record as a party in government shows that we're the only one in a short period of time can rescue our nation and restore our programs and move this country forward. So join us on tomorrow 3 o'clock at our rally, and there'll be other rallies across the country. So we look forward to your support and your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. So tomorrow 3 o'clock at the Kitty Market Square. Remember, so we're gonna, that's the kickstart the activities. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with you soon to continue these sorts of discussions. Bye for now.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.